Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. I hope everyone is doing well today. I am just back in from outside. I participated kind of in cozy reading night from Lauren in the Books. It was the middle of the day here, so I did my chores and then headed out to the park to read with my dogs. You can check out some photos of that on my Instagram if you're interested. We tried to read in the park a little bit and enjoy a cozy day on a beautiful day in sunny California. And I'm back, and I'm here to do my second April book haul. And I'm actually going to have 3 book hauls this month because, if you're not aware, I know at least in the United States, next Saturday, April 29th, is Independent Bookstore Day. So it's a day where you go out and you shop at your independent bookstores. And my friend Ryan from This Charming Rant, who I've talked about before, him and I are going to a bookstore down in Morgan Hill, California that we didn't even know existed next Saturday. So I will have books from that. I'm going to try to do my first vlog, which will be interesting because I haven't done one yet, of that experience, and I'll have some books from there. So today I have 10 or 11 books to go through. A lot of them you've probably heard about already, so I'm going to try to keep it short and succinct unless, you know, I go crazy. So the first one is Ghachar by Vivek Shanbhag, and I am butchering both probably the title and the author's name, so I totally apologize for that. This is a very tiny book, but I guess it's going to pack quite a punch. It's about a family in India who is basically destitute when one of them starts a spice trade business and totally reverses the family's fortunes, and kind of how that affects everyone. I've heard and read a little bit about the book, and that even though it is slight, it is basically a family saga, so it's supposed to be very powerful. So that's Ghochar by Vivek Shanbhag. So I apologize for all of that pronunciation right there. So I see you have a kind of weird glare. It's a beautiful day, so I have my window open, so I apologize, but it is the wind. It's just beautiful here today. So the second book I picked up is Margaret the First by Danielle Dutton. This is a signed copy I got at an independent bookstore up in San Francisco. This book has been around a bit. I know people have heard about it, but it is the story of Margaret of Newcastle, or Margaret Cavendish, who I guess was a very eccentric personality. She wrote some novels of herself, and this is kind of a fictionalized version of her life. I know a couple of people, Britta at The Second Shelf, talked about this for quite a long time. I'll link her channel down below. You can go check it out and talk about it. But I'm really excited. Again, it's really short, but it's supposed to be quite entertaining. So that is Margaret the First by Danielle Dutton. And it came signed. Isn't that cool? This book I got because Simon had it on his channel a few episodes ago, and it's right actually up my husband's alley. It's called The Regional Office is Under Attack by Manuel Gonzales, and it is about a group of superpower female assassins who save the world. I think that's enough. I think that's enough to get you interested. I think that I like the idea of this group of superpowered women taking over, kicking butt. He'll actually really like it, so I'm going to make him read it. So that's The Regional Office is Under Attack by Manuel Gonzales. I don't need to know much more. I hope you don't either. The next book is, so I don't know if you guys have reading pet peeves. I'm sure you do. But one of my biggest pet peeves is when a book goes on clearance and they always mark the bottom of it, and it drives me crazy. And I happened to be in a bookstore that didn't do that, and I was able to get this copy of Parable of the Sorrow by Octavia Butler really, really cheap, and that's really exciting for me. I've read a couple of Octavia Butler's books, but not this one. She is an African-American sci-fi writer. I talked about her in a previous episode about her book Kindred. I'll link that episode below if you want to check that out. This is the story of an environmental and economic crisis that leads to social chaos, and a minister's young daughter, and how her world just kind of falls apart and how she survives it. I've heard really good things about it. I'm really excited to read it. I've never read anything by Octavia Butler that hasn't been excellent. So that is Parable of the Sorrow by Octavia Butler. The next book is actually a book I received as a gift in the mail from Richard over at Richard Reads. We did kind of a, you should read this you read this book exchange, and that is Turn Right at Machu Picchu by Mark Adams. It is nonfiction, and I don't know much about it. I know that it is, Mark Adams is an anthropologist, I believe, or an archaeologist who goes back and researches the story of the man who found Machu Picchu back in 1911, I think. And kind of, that guy is kind of vilified as someone who stole a bunch of stuff and has sort of a reputation for what he did to Machu Picchu. And Mark Adams, I guess, goes back and kind of investigates that history and that story. Richard told me it's actually very funny, and he really enjoyed it. And he just read the second book by this author, which I think is about Atlantis. Don't quote me, but I think. And so he sent this one to me. That's the Turn Right at Machu Picchu by Mark Adams, and I'm excited to read it. Don't read much nonfiction, so it will be good for me. The next book, I'm going really fast, I'm talking fast, but I have so much and I don't want the video to be too long, so I apologize, is my Book of the Month book, and that is American War by Omar El Akkad. I think I said that right, Akkad? I'm sorry. And I'm just going to read you. So Book of the Month, I've talked about them before, I'll link them below, but whenever you choose one of their books, the person who chose it for them sends you a bookmark with some writing on it that explains why they chose it. And this is by Marissa, and she says, "No, American War isn't exactly a beach read, but never mind. It is as gripping, shocking, mind-blowing as any novel I've ever read. It contains world building that's based in fact, but also deeply imagined. It will leave you wondering, could this happen in real life? Could it? Could it?" And that's what she says about it. So I know it's a dystopian novel, and it sounded really interesting to me, and I think she kind of sells it for me on her little book tag. So that's American War by Omar El Akkad. I hope I said that right. I apologize if I didn't. Okay, just a few more, I promise. This book I picked up at Green Apple Books by the Park up in San Francisco. It's called Himself by Jess Kidd. I had never heard of it. I love the cover. I think the cover is great. That's why I picked it up. And it is based, what year is it based in? I don't know. But it's set in Ireland. It's the story of a boy who is abandoned at an orphanage. I've read a lot of books about people abandoned at orphanages lately. But he finds out that his mother, who he was told abandoned him and left, or died actually, I think, may actually have had a history and a story. So he goes back to the small town that she was from to kind of figure out if he can find out what happened to his mother and why she abandoned him. And I guess there's all this intrigue in the community, people with the church, people in the town, everybody kind of trying to hide from him exactly what happened to his mom because of the history, and him sort of investigating it. I think he meets someone else, a woman if I'm not mistaken, who helps him investigate, a retired actress, I think. I can't quite remember. But I remember this idea of someone trying to figure out who they are by researching their mom in a small town in Ireland sounded interesting to me. So that's Himself by Jess Kidd. I really like that cover. And then today I went shopping and I bought, well, let me do this one first. So this one, in my graphic novels, I talked to you about 100 Years of Hero. I think that's 100, yeah, I think that's what it's called. I apologize, I'm blanking. So I went out and bought the first book by Isabel Greenberg, which is the Encyclopedia of Early Earth. I think she had one between this and 100 Years of Hero, a shorter sort of graphic novel. But I went and picked this one up because I loved that one so much. I don't know much about it. All I can tell you is that her last book was fantastic. I've heard nothing but good things about this one as well. Same fantastic art style. And I'm really, really excited to read her first book. So that's the Encyclopedia of Early Earth by Isabel Greenberg. So, as I said, today, had some free time, was running errands, saw a bookstore, had to walk in, and I picked up 3 books. The first book I picked up was The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. This is a YA novel, and it was actually, I didn't even pick it up. Dan was like, I found a book that you need to read. Here it is. You should buy it. And then I read the inside cover, and he was right. I should buy it, and I should read it. 16-year-old Star Cotter moves between 2 worlds, the poor black neighborhood where she lives and the fancy suburban prep school she attends. The uneasy balance between these worlds is shattered when Star witnesses the fatal shooting of her childhood best friend, Khalil, at the hands of a police officer. Khalil was unarmed. This seems really timely and really powerful. I don't know any of us who haven't been touched by stories like this that have been going on in America right now. John Green says it's stunning. We've probably all read a little John Green in our life. He definitely is someone I trust. He's great on Twitter, by the way, if you ever follow him. So that's The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I'm really excited about that one, too. And then the last two I got, I know nothing about other than the covers were there and I bought them. And this one is Often I Am Happy by Jens Christian Grondahl, and I don't know how to say that. It is translated, I believe, from the Danish by the author himself. I think he's Danish. He's from Denmark, yeah. So this book, I'm just going to read you the very first sentence, and you'll know why I bought it. Eleanor is 70. Book about an old woman. Why wouldn't I like that? This is the story of Eleanor. Her husband has just died, and she is actually married, or was married. Her husband was the first husband of her best friend. And from what I can tell, this is kind of her going back and talking to her best friend about their life and how they arrived at that situation. It's not a big book, but it sounded really interesting to me. Again, you know how I like a book about an old woman. So that's Often I Am Happy by Jens Christian Grondahl. Okay. Last but not least, I had never heard of this book. I don't know this author, but it sounds fascinating. It's got a long blurb, so I'm going to read it to you, but it is Before the War by Faye Weldon, and I guess she's pretty famous. She won an award for writing the pilot of Upstairs, Downstairs. And she was shortlisted for the Booker Prize for The Heart of the Country. So I haven't read any of her. I've never heard of her, but this book, let me just read it to you. London, 1922. It's a cold November morning. The station is windswept and rural, and the sky is threatening snow, and the train is late. Vivian Ripple, 20 years old, and an ungainly 5'11", waits on the platform out Grondahl. She is wealthy and well-bred, only daughter to the founder of Ripple & Company, the nation's top publisher. But plain, painfully awkward, and perhaps worst off of all, intelligent. Nicknamed the Giantess, Vivi is, in the estimation of most, already a spinster. So, spinster, right? So what happens is there's a man who works for her father named Sherwin Sexton who has a very extravagant lifestyle but not maybe the money to support it, and she goes in and tells him that she wants to marry him. And he agrees, I believe, mainly for the money. And from what the blurb says, what neither of them know is that she is pregnant by another man and will die in childbirth in just a few months. So she marries this man, she's already pregnant with another man's baby, and then she passes away. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I really, really want to. I think that sounds fantastic. So that's Before the War by Faye Weldon. Kind of a cool cover too, right? Yeah. So that was a lot of books, but you know how I am. I like to buy books. So I hope some of them sounded interesting. If you've read a bunch of them, I would love to hear about it below. If any of them are purchased and you read them, let me know. If any of them are something that you want to talk about, let me know. Comments below. If you have subscribed, thank you so much. If you are new to my channel, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you will like to subscribe as well. I really appreciate it. I'll link Cozy Reading Night by Lauren in the Books down below too. I do it Cozy Afternoon here in California, and you guys can maybe join in that. I think the next one is in June. It's got a Harry Potter theme, so that will be super exciting. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope you have a great week, and I will talk to you later. Bye!